Okay, so this is Treta 18. It's called Wound of the Duke of Alva. It starts with a line which we're not really sure what that means or where it fits into the whole thing, but anyway, it says Ataro by the second path, so might be relevant. We couldn't find a spot for that. Okay, anyway, then it starts a new paragraph. It's like, when the opponent subjects on the inside of my sword, I will form a remisso on the outside line without disengaging the swords. So that part's really quite tricky, and we couldn't work out how to do that. We'll get to that in a second. And then, and taking a transverse step, I will free my sword in a fist thrust and advance with the left foot to secure the hilt in a conclusion and finish out with reverse stance. So the end of it sounds like the hard end of the conclusion, but the rest of it sounds pretty vulgar. So we'll see where that goes. Okay, so first we're talking about the remisso technique. We're based on Pacheco's derision of it in the back there, where it talks about the excessive force that's used to execute it. That seems to be usually interpreted as an expulsion. It was when we used it in the earlier one, and that fit quite well. This one, doing it without disengaging the blades, doesn't seem to fit the expulsion scenario. And we sort of have to fudge the disengaging thing to get to being able to perform it on the outside at all. So let's just see where that is. So if I borrow Julian. So he's going to begin his take on the inside. So because of the description, it's not talking about already having it. It's like they will begin their take. I presume we're acting within that time. He's coming into here, and then I'm performing a remisso on the outside. So normally I would think a remisso on the outside would do something like this, with the violent action for the expulsion, but he's saying to not disengage the swords. So the first problem is, A, the swords are not engaged if we're assuming that inside take, but even if we're starting with it here, it's like, how can I do anything on my outside while I'm being subjected on my inside? It's sort of like, yeah, I can't see a way to not be disengaging. So other than assuming that A, we're not engaged, so it's not a disengage to change sides, dodgy, and we're doing a remisso without disengaging the blade, so I'm doing a remisso and keeping contact, but is that really a remisso? Am I putting any force into that would upset Pacheco? So as Julian goes to take the thing, I'm just coming to this side here, just more or less with a controlled line, controlling the line. If we assume he's not taking it too hard, so he's just doing a nice gentle take, I can be forcing it onto that side and give it a bit of an abrupt bump. I think that's maybe the best we can do. Next for the fun stuff. So as he comes there, he's doing this, and now I'm going to transverse with a punch thrust. So I'm like coming over here, freeing my sword with my punch thrust, which I'm moving back, and then finishing with a curve step to conclusion to here, grabbing the sword, which was obviously just free and going to get it, and then turning back into the reverse stance. So, yep, okay, what does that look like? As Julian takes the blade, come over to transverse in, and free up for the punch thrust. Let me try that. So it's here, transverse, here, here. Looks fun, looks risky as fuck. Jess was playing with how we can be not disengaging, and maybe if we talk about the other person's outside line, so when I'm doing my remisso, it's to Julian's outside line. So seek it, I'm going to do my remisso to the outside, which I could do with a rising beat, like this, or I could do it a more natural way than I used to. So anyway, as he comes in, throw it out to the side, and then I'm stepping with the transverse in punch thrust, so obviously this has to be very quick and relies a lot more on the conclusion. So I don't think it's any safer, but it does meet the not disengaging. So, and that kind of begs the question of, why am I punch thrusting? It's sort of like, if I'm doing that, so you take it there and I'm clearing off here, it's like, shouldn't I just lead with my point? Anyway. just another try.